I'm Anna, and I've always been the kind of woman who works harder than anyone expects. I built my life step by step, brick by brick, without shortcuts and without anyone's help. But before I became who I am today, there was Mark. He was my first love, the kind of all-consuming love that burns everything around it. We were young, wild, emotional, and he was the most intense man I had ever met. He loved fiercely, but he controlled just as fiercely. The jealousy, the mood swings, the pressure, the emotional manipulation. It all piled up until one day I finally broke. I couldn't breathe in that relationship anymore, so I ended it. 7 years ago, I walked away from him, shaking, terrified, but determined never to return to that version of myself. The girl who tolerated abuse. The girl who mistook pain for passion. For years, I rebuilt myself. I found a job at one of the biggest tech companies. I grew stronger, calmer, more confident. I didn't need a man to validate me. I didn't need Mark. Or at least that's what I told myself. And then he came back. It happened on an ordinary Tuesday. I was in the middle of reviewing a project when I noticed an email notification. I almost deleted it without reading until I saw the sender's name, Mark Harrison. My stomach dropped. His message was short, almost painfully simple. Anna, if you could spare a moment, I'd like to see you. There's something important I want to tell you. For a full minute, I just stared at the screen. 7 years of distance collapsed instantly. A part of me wanted to ignore him. Another part, the part one hated, was trembling with old emotions I thought I buried. Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet. We met in a small park near my office. When I saw him, I stopped breathing. He wasn't the man I remembered. He was thinner, paler. His shoulders weren't as broad. His face looked tired, almost fragile. But his eyes were exactly the same. Warm, soft, dangerous. Anna, he whispered, like he couldn't believe I was real. I kept my distance. Every instinct screamed, be careful. This man once broke you. But another voice whispered, you've missed him. We talked for a few minutes, awkward, polite, surface level, until he suddenly said, I'm sick. I blinked. Sick? What do you mean? He swallowed hard. Stage 4. It's aggressive. I don't have much time. The world around me faded. Cars passed, people walked, but I heard nothing. Only the dull ringing in my ears. He continued quietly, my last wish before things get worse is to have a picnic with you. One last time, like we used to. A knife twisted in my chest. That place, that picnic spot, was where we shared our happiest memories and our worst arguments. I don't know if that's a good idea, I whispered. I know, he said softly. But Anna, please. And just like that, I broke. We drove to the hill outside the city, the same one where we spent countless nights years ago, dreaming about a future we never built. When we reached the top, he spread a blanket slowly, his hands shaking slightly. I pretended not to notice. We sat down. The wind was cold, but my chest felt warm, painfully warm. He brought simple food, cheese, bread, grapes, lemonade. Exactly what we used to bring when we were young and broke and hopelessly in love. As we ate, silence settled between us. Not uncomfortable, but heavy with unspoken things. Do you remember, he said suddenly, how you used to point at the stars and say they looked different with me? Of course, I whispered. They did. He smiled weakly. I missed that. Then he told me why he disappeared all those years ago. Not the breakup, I left him, but the sudden silence, the way he vanished completely after. I wanted to find you, I said, to make sure you were okay, but you just disappeared. He looked down at his hands. I left because I knew I hurt you. I knew I was toxic back then, and I thought the only gift I could give you was to stay out of your life. My breathing hitched. All those years, I thought he abandoned me because I wasn't enough. And the truth was the opposite. My throat tightened. You should have let me decide that, I whispered. I know. He looked at me, eyes shining. And I'm sorry, Anna, for everything. The apology I never thought I'd hear. As the sun began to set, He placed his hand near mine, not touching, but close enough for my skin to feel the heat. My whole body reacted. A warm, aching pull I hated myself for. I wasn't that girl anymore. I wasn't the woman who tolerated emotional abuse and mistook chaos for love. I was strong now, independent. I had rebuilt myself. Letting him close again felt like betraying everything I fought for. But God, seeing him like that, fragile, dying, sorry, it shattered every wall I'd built. I wanted to reach for him. I wanted to touch him. I wanted to feel that familiar warmth. But I forced myself to stay still. "Anna," he said quietly, "you don't owe me anything. If being here hurts you, say the word and I'll leave." His voice trembled. Not manipulative, not controlling, just human. And all my defenses collapsed. I placed my hand over his. He inhaled sharply, like that one touch brought him back to life. We drove to my apartment in near silence. Every bump in the road felt like a question. Should I do this? Should I let him in? Should I break my own rules? For him? Inside my home, I hesitated. I could feel 7 years of discipline wrapping around my ribs like iron bars. He waited. He didn't step toward me, didn't pressure me. He simply looked at me like he was memorizing my face. "Anna," his voice cracked slightly, "I don't want to take anything from you. I just want one night where we can forget everything that went wrong." My breath trembled. My pride told me no. But my heart, the part one thought I'd killed, whispered, "He's dying, and you still love him." I stepped toward him. He cupped my face gently, like I was something fragile. And for the first time in years, I allowed myself to collapse into someone's arms. We kissed, slow at first, then deeper, desperate, full of years of unsaid words. That night was the best night of my life. Not because it was perfect, but because it was real, raw, emotional, final. We didn't pretend. We didn't promise. We just existed, two broken people holding each other like time was running out. Because it was. He died 2 months later. His sister called me, her voice gentle. "He passed peacefully. He talked about you a lot. He said that night with you made him feel alive again." I sat on the floor of my living room and cried silently, covering my mouth so the world wouldn't hear. I didn't cry because he died. People die every day. I cried because I finally allowed myself to love again, and I only got one night. One night to heal 7 years of pain. One night to say goodbye to the man who once broke me, and the man who, in the end, gave me the most tender memory of my life. And strangely, I don't regret it, not even a little. Sometimes the most painful love stories are the ones that set you free.